Let's talk long-term storage, shall we? Alright guys, so when it comes to long-term storage of your strains, when you buy a culture from someone, you collect a wild strain, anything, I mean you can even, wherever you get your culture from, you want to be able to store it. You don't want to have to buy it again. You don't want to lose it forever if it's a wild strain and unique to you guys. So the best way to do this is to keep your cultures in slants. These are just 50 mil centrifuge tubes. They are filled up with agar, and these right here are filled up with sawdust and soy, a little bit of soy as well, and sugar. I'm going to teach you exactly how to make these things. The reason why you want to keep these is because you can keep cultures in your refrigerator for years. You can see I've got just one of the drawers from our refrigerator here. This is just part of our culture library. You remember how I told you long ago in a video that I almost lost the N&G oyster, and that was super sentimental to me? N&G oyster, right here, in its slant, never to be lost again. Backed up and kept on two other off-site premises, or kept in two other locations besides this one. If this burned to the ground, I would be able to restart with most of my genetic library because I have it backed up 3 different ways, or 3 different times, and you can see I've got some here. I'll have 3 here on site, 3 on another site, 3 at another site. Could be my parents' house, could be a friend's house, could be anyone who's willing to hold on to cultures for you. That means that I've got these cultures pretty much forever. I mean, as long as I keep up with them, I pull them open once every 1 or 2 years, and I replate them out, they're good. You can't do this with tropicals that die in really cold weather, obviously. Those, you may just put them in slants and keep them in as cool a temperatures as you can keep them. But, I mean, I've set them out at room temperature and they do just fine. I've shown you guys how I do slants in the past. That is no longer the way that I do them now. I find it much easier to do them a new way. And this is just like, it's basically dry pack, right? We've all gotten a dry pack in bags. You take the pellets, put them in the bag. So you take the water, you put it in the bag. It's the same thing. Dry materials first, water, close it up and cook it. Here's how it goes. Well, actually before that, let's talk about this week's sponsor, shall we? Surprise, it's me again! This week's sponsor is us. It's our mentorship program. We have been selling mentorships like crazy this year, so anyone who wants to get a mentorship this year should go ahead and try to get it booked. I'm filling up really, really fast. We only allow 3 mentorships per week. The mentorship includes, it's $3,000, includes the entire week that you schedule it for, and the price of a +1 to come with you. We go over anything you want to go over. We have a bare bones crash course that we can take you through, or if you have been farming for a couple of years and you want, help in scaling, or you need me to train one of your employees or anything like that, we absolutely will work with that. We'll have you come in, we'll train you and your employee side by side, your business partner, however you want to do it. Our mentorship program, we have a lot of people, it gets you right. Our mentorship program doesn't end the way other people's does. You go to a lot of people, you do their mentorship, and it's like a class, you sit down. No, you come here, you get hands-on experience. You're not going to just sit there and get lectures from me. No, we're going to sit down and have real conversations. We're going to talk over real problems. And when your mentorship is finished that week, we're not going to abandon you. We bring you into our Discord server where you can be there with consults, many of my other previous students, and people of all different skill levels. We got HVAC guys, we've got chemists, we've got geneticists, we've got all kinds of different people in our Discord group there to help you out with questions, just like you can go and help them with something you might know. There's no obligation in the Discord. Obviously, lurking is just fine. You've been through the mentorship program. That's all that takes. Consultation, support us on Patreon, etc. That said, it also gets you personal access to us afterwards. You call me up, you say, hey, Andrew, I've got a problem. I go, yeah, man, you hired me to make you successful. You didn't hire me for a week. You hired me because you want to be successful and you thought that I might be your best ticket for it. I'm not going to abandon you at the end of a mentorship. We're going to continue to work together. You come here, you do the crash course, and then when you're building out your up, call me up. We're going to do it. We're going to work it together. We're going to learn everything from lab work, deliveries, grow room picking, how to cut the bags, grow room design, lab design, workflow. You want me to take a look at your business plan, etc. You can take a look at my financials. My books are open to you. I highly recommend our mentorship program if you're trying to scale up or just learn this on the fly. I've even hobbyists come and take this course. I believe in it. I highly recommend it. And as you'll see, we got a lot of people that seem to be agreeing with us. So, okay. I know that my hand just went up and down, and it's the same. And yeah, it's me again. I feel so weird sponsoring myself, and I feel so weird doing a plug, but I have had a lot of people talk to me about, they think that I should do it more, and I agree. I'm about to give you guys a bunch of free content. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes to listen to me ramble on about something I'm trying to sell you. That said, let's go back to slants. Slants, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need, oh, I wish I had it right in front of me. You're going to need your container. I like to use Cell Treat. They have 50 mil 50 mil centrifuge tubes. You can get them sterilized or non-sterile. For this case, just get them non-sterile because you're going to be sterilizing them anyways. I used to buy them sterile, and so I have a bunch of them, like cases and cases of these things already sterilized by gamma radiation. I don't get them, I won't be buying them that way in the future. The reason why is because I don't like to pour. You know, it's got a small mouth. Where have I got one loose? It's got a small mouth, and I've done a few different ways of trying to get agar into these things while it's hot and wet. Speaking of hot, it is. With that distiller going, this light so you guys can see me, and the autoclave going, it is sweat-tacular in here. Anyways, 50 mil centrifuge tube. They're very cheap on Cell Treat. Cell Treat's a great place to get them. There's a lot of other places to get them. 50 mil is what I use because I feel like it's a good size for working with. It's comfortable to work with. And then you can keep a lot of them, just dozens and dozens of them in your refrigerator. So, you'll need your tubes, a quarter teaspoon. Quarter teaspoon is, we do this by volume now instead of weighing out grams. You'll need agar. Liquid culture premix. You can look at my previous video on how I make it. The short of it is 1 pound malt, 4 pounds corn dextrose. There you go, you got a premix. Just mix it all together. If you want food dye, I like food dye. There are a lot of reasons for this. I plan on making a video about it, but suffice it to say, it helps me gauge the health of the culture based on how quickly the stuff's getting eaten up. As you can see, all of these tubes, they've already eaten all the food coloring out of them. Super healthy growth. These are a bit newer, so they haven't quite eaten through it yet, but they will slowly go through that food dye, and I'll be able to gauge that it's still growing. You can see the line right there where it's just starting to eat into it. You're then going to need hot water. The hot water that I have for you is sitting in the autoclave. I just get a half-gallon jar, fill it up full of hot water. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be hot, but I find the agar dissolves better, so sure. 60 mil syringe. You can use a pipetter. Basically, you just want to be able to dose out liquid water by the 20 mil. I find that this works really, really well. You can use a peristaltic pump. Have you done that before, where you just move the hose and keep hitting the foot pedal? That's a great way to go if you're making a lot of slants. If you're just making like 20, 25, the syringe is, you know, very good to go with. And then, for example, you're going to need something to hold your cultures in. This is acrylic. I can't actually autoclave this. I do autoclave in these slant holders, and you can get those from Cell Treat. You can get those from other places. Amazon sells them. They do warp over time, as you've seen. And you're gonna need toothpicks or some other wood source. Popsicle sticks work great. Bamboo skewers, hardwood dowels, even sawdust, but I don't like the sawdust as much because it always falls to the bottom, and it doesn't, the toothpick or a popsicle stick or a dowel or something like that will go all the way through. You can even use wooden plugs. The spiral cut dowel plugs that people use, those work great as well. That's pretty much it on the materials. So what you're going to do after you have all your materials ready, you have your autoclave warming up, you're going to sit down, and what I find is that I like to make sure that when I am, where are they? Here they are. I find that when I'm making slants, I like for all of them, when I place them in these trays, I like all of the white to face the same direction. This makes it really easy for me, because what happens is I'm going to lean them, and when I lean them, I'm going to lean them with that white face down. So now when it comes to working with my cultures, you can see I have the entire culture visible, and the white face is covered by the green. So I'm not blocking my own view of the culture. You want to make sure that these are clean. You want to be able to see visible growth. So what you really want to do is to not cover anything up. So face all those it's basically where you write your information. As you can see right there. Yep. Don't worry about that. That's a new strain that hasn't been released yet. But right there you have it. Right where we can write our information down. And you can see that I can see the... And as you can see, I can see the entire culture. I can see that it's healthy. I can see where to select from. That's what you want. So you're thinking ahead a little bit on that. So you get them all, you place them all in your tray with the white facing the same direction. Take all the lids off. You're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of agar. Well, actually, let's start with the toothpicks. You're going to start with toothpicks. Just throw your toothpicks in. Doesn't matter how. When you lean it, they're going to go the right direction. They're going to be climbing up that white label. You're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of agar, into all 20 of those, 25 however many. Then you're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of your liquid culture premix. This is, if you're going to weigh it out, I was doing 0.8 grams of agar and 0.8 grams of the liquid culture premix. It just turned out that a 1/4 teaspoon was perfect for the slants. After that, you're going to take your water, and you're going to add 20 milliliters of water to that tube. And yes, this is my agar recipe, where I have twice as much sugar and twice as much agar as everybody else out there in the world tells you to use. This is because I work so much with the needle biopsy. I like a firmer agar, something that holds up into the needle much easier than the kind of more gooey agars that other people work with. The other side of this is, you're going to, the next step is, I have a mentorship this week, and next week, and the next week, and the next week, and it's getting a little hard for me to make videos and do mentorships. As you can see, it's dark outside. I'm burning the candle at both ends. I am taking care of myself, so don't worry about that. Anyways, going back to it, the next step is to use your food coloring now if you're going to. If you do the gel like I prefer, powder I can't tell you how to use it, you'll just have to dose it out yourself. But the gel, I like to do 1 single drop of the gel into each container. Once you have that in all of them, you can close your lids up. Just do them hand tight, don't crank them down real hard. don't leave them loose. A lot of people like to leave them loose. I don't like to leave them loose. I found that I had too much boil off during that. Just hand tight. Take them and put them in your autoclave and lean. What you can put as a jar of water. This is going to act as a thermal sink, I guess we'll call it, a thermal base. What it's going to allow is that if you just put slants in there, the inside of the autoclave is going to cool much faster, and it's going to encourage your slants to boil out. If you put a nice half-gallon jar or a couple of gallon jars in there or whatever, full of liquid, full of water, then it means that it's going to take much longer time and it's going to all cool down evenly. Therefore, your slants will cool down without a lot of boil out. And that's exactly what you want. You want them clean. So if you get agar and sugary syrup all over the outside of those, your chances of contamination go up. So, cook it at 15 psi. Oh, sorry, load your jar, load your slants. Make sure to lean them so that there's an actual slant, and make sure the white label is down. Once you have those in there, close up your autoclave, cook at 15 psi. I like to cook for a full hour. You can use sterilization tape if you want, and make sure that you're getting sterilized, you know, with the tape that turns. I did a video on it a while back. That tape turns, the stripes turn black once it's reached sterilization temps. Absolute lifesaver when it comes to making sure that everything's clean. And that's pretty much it. You just let it cool. I always do slants last, so they can cool all night long until the next day. After that, you just use them. You just inoculate them like you normally would, wrap them up in parafilm, and there you go. I like to do 3. I will say that if you're storing a lot of cultures, one of the good things to do is to inoculate it and let it sit out for 3 or 4 days to make sure that you're getting good growth, clean, observably clean growth. You don't want yeast. I wonder if I can get this on camera. This is actually a yeast slant, and well, you can see that it's kind of greasy looking. That's yeast. Specifically, EC 1118 champagne yeast. Plated it out, spared some in tubes, keep it in a fridge. If I ever need it, I've got yeast that I can use to brew with. Also fun to swab oyster mushroom caps and then put that on plates, and sometimes you get some interesting yeast strains off of your mushrooms that have decent taste when you're brewing. Anyways, you want good mycelial growth. You don't want yeasty growth like that if you're trying to get a mycelial culture, mushroom culture. So you have that. You let it sit out for a few days. You observe that it's clean. It's got good growth. I then bag them up in Ziploc bags and then just throw them in the fridge. And have had amazing luck. I've never lost a strain that I've treated this way. I have lost a slant here and there where I open it up and I'm like, that slant is obviously dead. It did not do well. But that's why you do 3. And if you're going to store some more off-site, do 9. And now you can store them in 3 different places. 3 sets of 3. And it's likely that you'll never lose that strain again. So again, the best way to never lose a strain is to put it out in the marketplace, because it will then make the rounds and everyone will have it. Somebody will be actively growing it and you'll always be able to get it again. But the slants, if you buy something in, you don't want to have to buy it again, you don't want to trade for it, you've got something wild or unique, store it in the slants. You'll have got that long-term storage. Well, anyways, guys, that's pretty much it on that. I know it's kind of a short, quick week. But I just found this to be so helpful. I was sitting here making slants for, you know, our big push to make sure that everything we have in culture is backed up multiple times. Just watched a little Farscape while doing it, and I thought, well, man, I should just pause this. I should show you guys how I do it, and that way I can make sure to get that video that I was supposed to get out last week, and then I can start working on this week's video and hopefully not fall too far behind. So that said, we've got a mentorship this week. So anytime I have one of those, it's a lot harder to get videos out, just because I don't like to shove a camera in people's faces when they're here learning, unless they just are into that. So again, check out this week's sponsor, me, our mentorship program. Give that some thought. Yeti's Breath was a great release last week, or 2 weeks ago. I really appreciate any of you guys that have got those. You guys ordered way more than I had prepped, because I never thought that it would sell that fast. I thought maybe it would be another slow build-up, kind of like King Blue and all my other previous releases were. So just know, getting those slants out to you, they will be out very quickly. And let's see. With that, y'all, keep spawning culture.
어떡한지 어떡해